Welcome to today's Explainer. We're diving straight into a fascinating cosmic interview with the creator and seeing exactly how it applies to the everyday, real-world struggles of an ordinary 25-year-old guy named Evan. We've got some incredibly beautiful, complex concepts to get through, so let's jump right in and see how this all connects. So, here's the ultimate question we've all probably asked ourselves at some point. Do you need actual magic superpowers to fix your life? Or is there a practical, grounded way to take control of your own story? You know the feeling, right? You get stuck and think, man, if I could just snap my fingers and change everything. But, as we're going to see in the source material today, the actual mechanics of happiness and cosmic reality operate on a way more profound and logical level. Section 1. The Creator's Master Plan. Cosmic Homework and Word Stories. We're dropping right into an incredibly tense scenario here. A nervous television moderator is conducting an exclusive, unprecedented interview with the actual creator of heaven and earth. But wait, instead of an omnipotent being who just instantly knew everything from day one, the creator reveals a process of deep humility. He actually had parents who trained him. He had to pass tests, face challenges, and actively practice his mastery before he was ever handed a territory of the universe to govern. I mean, he literally had to practice creating with uninhabited stars and planets before graduating to conscious life. It completely reframes how we view divine power, doesn't it? It's earned through mastery. Naturally, the moderator asks the obvious follow-up. Okay, so how long ago did this happen? And the creator just casually breaks our whole human concept of time. He explains that mystical progress isn't measured in years or centuries. He asks, how old is the virtue of purity? When did 2 plus 2 first equal 4? It's such a brilliant point. Time measures the physical world, but over in the mystical realm, progress is measured by the mastery of virtues. It's a completely different scale of evolution. And this reveals how the universe actually functions day to day. The creator describes his divine plan like a massive, multidimensional book. He writes the word stories. That's the unchanging matrix of the plot. But those words just sit there dormant until we, the creative souls, step in. By reading the book and pouring our conscious awareness into it, we temporarily bring the story to life. It's wild to think about. The creator literally relies on us to insert ourselves into the flow to manifest reality. There's room for billions of characters in this plot, but the whole shebang requires our spirit to activate it. Moving into Section 2, Navigating the Divine Story, the Ship of Safety. Seeing this grand plan unfold, the moderator gets a bit nervous and asks, well, if I have to stay within your plot, doesn't that limit my freedom? The creator's response is incredibly grounded. He paints a picture of his divine plan as a brilliant, sunlit ship sailing safely over a deep, dark abyss. Now yes, if you board the ship, you're restricted to wherever that ship is heading. But you still have absolute freedom to walk around the deck and experience the journey however you want. You can choose to view that boundary as a prison, or you can recognize it as the very thing keeping you from drowning. So the crucial takeaway here is understanding what happens when you reject that safe path. The creator points out that some foolish souls want to go their own way, right? So they jump off the ship and start swimming all alone in the dangerous ocean of their own fantasies. But here's the hard truth. Once they abandon the ship, they step totally outside the creator's written story. And because they're now outside his story, he can't save them from the consequences they create for themselves. You absolutely have the free will to jump, but you can't expect the author to rewrite the ocean just for you. Let's jump to Section 3, The Recipe for Happiness, Evan's Pursuit. Let's bring this down to earth and focus on an ordinary 25-year-old named Evan. Evan is deeply bored, tired of the constant ups and downs of normal, everyday life, and honestly, he just wants instant power to be happy all the time. Out of nowhere, a gentle, wise presence named Lord Blue steps directly into Evan's awareness. Of course, Evan immediately demands instant happiness, but Lord Blue firmly and patiently explains it doesn't work that way. You can't just throw raw chocolate chips onto a baking sheet, shove it in the oven, and demand cookies. You need the right ingredients, you need wisdom, and you need to understand the mystic laws. Evan actually admits he's tried taking shortcuts before and just ended up smoking up the whole kitchen. Once Evan is actually ready to learn, Lord Blue introduces the absolute foundational ingredient, and that is gratitude. Now, we're not just talking about saying thank you politely. Lord Blue defines gratitude as a primary ingredient that literally uses your soul's willpower to claim your current story. Think about it. If you don't appreciate what you have, you can't hold on to it. Without this grounding anchor, Lord Blue warns that happiness simply floats away like a lost balloon. So let's look at the exact steps of this recipe. Step 1 is gathering that gratitude for the present moment. Step 2 is using that gratitude to deliberately overwrite your complaints, which naturally fills your internal emptiness with greatness. And step 3, that's establishing hope. By following this simple recipe, Evan started to realize something profound. Hopelessness isn't just some random curse that happens to you. It's actually the bitter, logical result of constantly rejecting your past and your present circumstances. To see how this looks in practice, Lord Blue uses the perfect everyday example: falling off a bike and skinning your knee. Now, you don't just ignore the bad things that happen. That's just toxic positivity, right? Instead, you consciously choose your focus. You could sit there on the pavement, furious, throw the bike away, and literally never ride again. Or you could be genuinely grateful you only tore an old pair of jeans and didn't break your arm. You slap a bandage on it, dust off your normal clothes, and you get right back on the bike. Moving on to Section 4, Illusions versus Cosmic Truth, Rejecting Magic Wishes. Now, Evan is really starting to get it, but he still has one pressing, very human question. What if billions of people all believe in a creative delusion? Like, can blind faith actually override reality and force 2 + 2 to equal 7? Lord Blue shuts this down beautifully. He notes that the creator actually considered making magic wishes the primary engine of reality, but rejected the idea after about 2 seconds. The universe is built on solid, unyielding cosmic truth, and free will only directs creative energy within that established reality. This establishes a really vital boundary for us. If you cling to fluid fantasies, those unverified, fanatical beliefs that try to bend the rules of the universe, you don't actually change reality at all. You only twist your own perception. A faulty point of view doesn't warp cosmic laws, it simply confuses the person holding onto it. Reality just remains unbothered, while the individual gets lost in their own mind. Section 5, Ultimate Graduation Requirements, Connecting to the Crystic Conscience. So what is actually required for us, incarnated beings walking around in physical bodies, to graduate from this earthly school? Well, the source material reveals that being just sort of goodish isn't going to cut it. The physical world is incredibly dense and heavy. To pierce through it, you need a strong, holy fire connection. You literally have to forge a complete bond with your Crystic Conscience. That's the vital cosmic net link connecting your physical body to your soul. If that connection isn't rock solid, the line goes completely dead. But listen, there is a price to maintain this serene, grounded signal. Souls have to make sacrifices. You gotta drop the negative emotions like anger and jealousy. You have to give up substances like drugs and alcohol that just cloud the mind. Basically, you have to stop any activities that drain your mystic fire. Because all of these habits, they severely disrupt that crucial two-way communication with your higher self. It's described perfectly here as the center net. Every single time you connect to distractions and negative loops, you are directly draining your own mystic fire. You're muddying the exact connection you need to find true peace. The reality is, the more time and energy you spend mindlessly scrolling the center net, the less signal strength you have left to connect to the network that actually leads you home. And as we pull back out to the macrocosmic scale, we get this stunning revelation whispering through the networks. The creator openly admits that his apparent absence in our physical world isn't abandonment at all. It's a deliberate motivational tool. He says, I decided the best way to motivate others to step up as co-creators was to pretend I was out of the picture. He literally stepped off stage so that we would finally pick up the pen and start writing our own growth. So the absolutely crucial takeaway from this entire explainer is this. The author hasn't left. He is still here, and the grand story is still being written. But now, it's up to you. As you navigate your own chapter today, remember that the ship is safe, the recipe for happiness is ready and waiting, and the power to elevate your story is sitting right there in your hands. So, the ultimate question is, how will you use your soul's willpower today? Thanks so much for exploring this with me, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.